Welcome to the podcast. The Aging Queen. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome back to the Aging Queen podcast. My name is Louis Canetti, and I have a very special episode for you today. We have both of our frequent guests, Rob from Madrid and James from Columbus, Ohio. Hello, guys.
Hey.
Hi.
So weird to have you both on the show.
Creepy.
Yes.
No, it's good. It's good. I think both of you bring different perspectives, and this show is going to be a two-part series. We're dedicating this episode to LGBT travel because it's such a big subject. I thought that both of you, having both of you on the show, would be a plus because we have so much to talk and discuss about this topic. The annual purchasing power of LGBTQ community is $3.9 trillion.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money. And 65% of the amount of LGBTQ travelers prioritize safety and well-being while traveling. That brings me to an association that was founded in 1983 in Florida called the IGLTA. It's the International International LGBTQ Travel Association. And what they do is they accredit businesses like hotels, for instance, or cruises or resorts that cater to the LGBTQ community. I think this is a really great resource, and you can feel more assured that there's some kind of accreditation. It's not just, a lot of people, especially on YouTube, when you search for hotels, they say LGBTQ friendly. Are they really? But this gives you that kind of assurance, and I think it's great. I just found it, and what do you guys think about this?
I was gonna say I feel like I've seen that. In fact, I might even get emails from them because I know I get
Really?
well, I get some I know I subscribed to some like gay travel group a while ago. And
Hmm.
it's I guess it's some people who organize gay trips, and I've never been on one of their trips, but I know that I've seen that group either on them or I've gotten emails directly from them for sure. And basically, sort of like advertising like places to go, or if there's an advisory, sometimes I think they might send out advisories saying, hey, just there's an advisory for this area. You might want to not consider going there or something like that. So
Yeah,
I don't
their
think,
website is iglta.org,
yeah.
and it states on there that it's a new program serving as the gold standard of assurance that travel brands are committed to promoting equality and safety for LGBTQ travelers. Evidence-based allyship ensures properties and travel organizations meet comprehensive criteria and evaluation process before being recognized as IGLTA accredited. So yeah, it's great to have that. You guys should check it out. There's tons of information and industry events, for instance, and partners on their website.
Well, that
So
sounds good.
yeah. So anyway, it sounds like I'm selling them, but I really am. I think the more resources we have, at our disposal, especially when it comes to traveling, the better. There's also another site called Mr. B&B, and it finds gay accommodations all over the world that are very gay friendly. And have you guys ever used this site before?
No, but I think I've seen them advertised in my Instagram advertisements, so
Hmm.
Yeah, I've seen them
sounds
as well.
familiar.
I've seen them advertised as well, but I've never used them. Yeah.
Right. Well, it says find the perfect LGBTQ friendly hotels in over 200 countries. That brings me to the issue. Would you guys travel, or have you traveled to countries where it's not so gay friendly, or it could perhaps be illegal to even be gay? There's about 65 countries where homosexuality is illegal, as um, it's basically breaking the law, just being you. Would you travel, James, to a country that's
No, I can't.
illegal to be gay?
I can't say that I would because honestly, when I travel, I mean, obviously safety is a priority. So the last thing that I want to do is put myself in a situation where I am knowingly possibly putting myself in harm's way.
Right.
So I don't tend to like I'm sure there are some, I guess, wonderful countries out there that would be cool to travel to, but just knowing that I wouldn't be able to fully be myself in that country would put me at ease, and that's not a vacation to me. That's just added stress.
Mhm.
So, and I'm if I'm on vacation, I'm not trying to stress myself out or be in stressful situations. In fact,
Right. You wanna relax. You don't wanna look
exactly,
over your shoulder constantly.
exactly.
And, how about you, Rob? Would you travel to a country where it's not so gay friendly or perhaps illegal to be gay?
Absolutely, because I think the world is a very large place, and as a frequent traveler and someone who enjoys traveling and, going to different places, I think, yeah, the government there might be hostile towards LGBTQ people, and obviously, if there's, like, a interview at the immigration place, and if it's super hostile, I would say no, but I think most I mean, there's gays all over. Grinders pop in everywhere, you know? So, because the government is one way, the people are another, I think, I try to see the good in the people, and I wanna experience life in those places and live like a local, take pictures, try the local food, speak the local language, um, and everything like that. So I think that's also a difference between traveling and vacationing,
Yeah.
True.
because if you're vacationing, absolutely, I don't wanna put myself in harm's way, I wanna be myself, I wanna put my feet up on a beach with a mocktail and enjoy, but when it comes to traveling, I've been to plenty of places, even this year, where there is no LGBTQ people out and about. There's no gay flags, no nothing, but I still had a great time. I still enjoyed myself.
Would you
Obviously
self-censor yourself or watch your movements, make sure
I
that you are
think
gay that you're,
yeah.
straight passing more?
Oh, absolutely. You'd have to. I went
Yeah.
to Morocco once in 2000 8, I believe, in
Mhm.
the mid-2000s, let's say. I went to Morocco, and I went there with my partner at the time, and he's a swarthy, older, Southern European man, and me, I'm just a white guy with a beard, and the guy in immigration was looking at our passports, and he was like, "Oh, brothers?" And we're like, "No." He couldn't tell that and but I'm
Brothers
not
from
gonna
another
say, "Oh,
mother.
he's my" yeah, I'm not gonna say, "Hey, he's my lover," or "He's my partner," or "boyfriend," or anything like that, but we just bit our tongues and, went through immigration and still had a wonderful time in Morocco, such a wonderful time, even the people that we stayed with, my ex-partner, late partner, however you wanna put
Mhm.
it, friends, they came and visited, and we all stayed in the same place together, and someone brought in brought in trade from the street in the
Oh,
middle
wow.
of Marrakesh,
Nice.
and Grindr's poppin'. I don't think they had Grindr back then, but, I don't know
Hmm.
how they got it, but, even though it's not a destination to be openly LGBTQ and you have to be careful, there's other places as well in
Gay
the
people
world, but
exist everywhere.
Right.
they're everywhere. People get by, and hopefully in the future things will be better. But looking from I mean, keeping in mind I am a somewhat masculine white male. I do have that privilege with two strong passports, so I do have a privilege when it comes to that, and I do recognize that. But also I want to see the world, and I want to travel to different places, and if I have to swallow my pride and keep my identity under wraps, then so be I'm only there for a week. I'm not
But do you
immigrating there.
think,
I'm not
A-
taking
do you
Actually,
think
jobs.
you have
I was gonna say just
sorry, go ahead, James.
I was gonna say, Rob, actually, I fully agree with your answer because when I originally answered, I was thinking purely from a vacation point of view, but in
Oh, yeah.
travel, I
Oh,
totally
yeah.
agree. Like because the world is a huge place, and I honestly, I mean, I want to see it, and so like there are
I wanna see
times.
the pyramids, I wanna see
Exactly, same here.
everything,
Like
yeah.
I would love to go to Egypt. I would love to see the pyramids.
Mm,
Am I now? I know that, for instance, like going somewhere like in Egypt or the Middle East or something like that, because I would love to see Dubai. I know that I'm
mm,
not necessarily gonna, be running around with a pride flag, which
mm,
I don't do in normal life. But
right.
um, at the same time, I also know that I am also gonna respect. I'm gonna respect that culture,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like I'm not gonna go over there because that's one of the things that I've noticed, especially like since like when I travel and I tell people, of course, where I live, people automatically assume, oh, he's an American, he's loud, they have all these assumptions because American tourists have a
Mm,
bad reputation. But
true.
when I travel, I don't often travel as a tourist. Like I tend to go somewhere and try to learn about the people and learn about the customs and cultures, and sort
Yeah.
of like adapt myself to them.
Well,
And
that's what opens up your paradigm is
right.
learning from others and being in a different environment, and
Exactly. Like it's one thing for me to be at home and, act like everyone here, but it's another thing for me
right.
to, for instance, go to Spain and be like, just start saying the craziest things and just getting stupidly drunk and just, just being, I guess, an obnoxious American. And I've been in places where I've heard people say, "Oh, those Americans are obnoxious," because, where you have like, I remember being in a bar in Germany, and there were a group of Americans, and we all kind of sort of congregated toward to each other, and people were just being super loud. And in my mind, I'm like, this is not the way they do it here. Like this is a
Mm,
chill bar, and
Right.
no one was taking that, no one's getting the hint. And so all the Germans in the bar were looking at us like, ugh, Americans.
cringe. Yeah.
Yes,
Mm,
exactly. And I just thought, you guys, like I didn't know them people. I didn't know them well enough to correct them.
To tell
But
them to pipe down, yeah.
exactly. But
Because what do you do in those situations?
yeah, exactly. Eventually I was kind of like, okay, you guys have been cool, like, but I gotta go. Like I'm gonna,
yeah,
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 part
y'all
ways.
cringe.
yeah.
So it looks like there's 60%, that's the amount of LGBTQ tourists who value or travelers who value destinations that celebrate the LGBTQ community. So other 40% are the ones who will modify, I guess, their behavior or will tolerate and any anti-gay laws in order to see the beauty of other countries and what they have to offer. Do you have to say an article in the BBC from March 31st, 2023, by the Reality Check team does state that things are getting a little bit better. There used to be 70 countries that have outlawed or criminalized homosexuality. Now there are 64, and nearly half of them are in Africa. Some countries, as it states in the article, including several in Africa, have recently moved to decriminalize same sex unions and improve rights for LGBTQ people. So this is overall great news. Things are getting better slowly, even in non-Western countries. So yeah, do you guys have any stories of awkward or uncomfortable moments? For instance, where you were checking in and you asked for one bed.
I was gonna
Me,
say,
no.
I I went on a cruise once, and it was with my very first boyfriend, and we had a cabin together. And so when we first walked into the room, the beds, it was two twin sized beds, and they were apart. And so we were like, all right, that's just silly. We're a couple, we've been together for years at that point. So we pushed them together. Um, and then we went and did something, and I guess room service came and made up our room, and then they pushed our beds apart. And so then we came back. So of course we pushed our beds back together. And so the next day when they came and like made up our bed, they realized, okay,
Hmm.
they're together again. So they actually made our bed into like one bed. So like put like
Aw.
they put like the queen size sheet over it, and then it
Mm,
was just like and it was just great. Like they recognized, okay, they're clearly a couple. And so
right.
it wasn't awkward. There was no confrontation. It was just kind of like, oh, they caught on really quickly, um, which was really cool. So we had
Yeah.
a great time.
That's cool. I've never had anything like that except for in Morocco going through immigration and the guy was trying to have a laugh, but, um, only in a hotel once. A friend of mine, not even me, has a coin collection and, left all of his coins on his, on the desk in the hotel, and the hotel person thought it no, the cleaning person thought it was a tip, took all their coins.
Oh.
Oh
Oh,
no.
wow.
So careful, guys, and don't leave valuables out.
Yeah, no, never.
And it's, they're well, you're gonna be a very popular in that place afterwards, big tippers.
Mm.
So, what are some pros and cons of LGBT travel? So, we have here inclusive destinations. Many countries and cities have vibrant LGBTQ communities, like Spain.
Mm.
Robert, do we have any stats on the top most friendly countries to
Well, the
visit?
5 best, apparently, according to a list that we found online, states that the 5 best countries for LGBTQ travelers include Canada, Spain, Netherlands, Sweden, and New Zealand.
Hmm.
Really?
New Zealand. I want to visit New Zealand so bad.
I've only
My
been to Australia, never been to New Zealand, never been to Sweden. I lived in the Netherlands,
Hmm.
Spain, live there now, Canada I've been,
mhm.
but,
Same
I
here.
just went to Montreal.
Yeah.
yeah, you
Last
had a
weekend.
gale time there, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, not really. We were just there one day, but we did stay right on St. Catharines in the
Mm.
gay village. It's just a beautiful town.
Oh, fun.
Was gonna say I've Canada is pretty awesome. I've only been my brother lives in Victoria. And Victoria is on the west coast of Canada on an island off
Mm.
of the west coast of Canada actually. And
Yeah, on Vancouver Island, yeah.
it yes, it's incredibly beautiful. And I remember actually going to a gay bar there. And I don't know how
What?
many gay bars they
Hmm.
have there, but I remember going to one and I thought, this
What?
is really interesting. you know?
Apparently, the gay village in Montreal is the largest in North America.
Oh,
It's
wow.
yeah,
I feel it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I do
pretty
hope
gay old town.
I was gonna say I do hope to go to Toronto at some point in time this year, because amusingly, Toronto is not far from where I live. But I've definitely obviously I've been to Spain, I've been to the Netherlands. My cousin just moved to New Zealand, so maybe that'll be a good reason to go to New Zealand.
Oh,
Um,
yes,
yes,
it is.
but that's really interesting because I would. It's interesting that they don't have a place like Iceland on that list because Iceland is
Yeah,
just absolutely amazing and incredibly queer friendly. So,
that'd be a cool destination to go to.
Yeah,
oh,
I think this is yeah, I think they're making I was watching a YouTube channel on how Iceland is actually uh courting LGBTQ
oh yeah,
visitors and travelers.
oh
Yeah.
it's amazing. I
Um
was just there last year for my birthday. Um,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I've been to Iceland twice. I've gone once for New Year's, which is
mhm.
amazing if you ever want to go, and then once at the end of I guess towards the end of the summer. Um, and it's crazy because of course you know they're so far north that they're a part of the Arctic Circle. So of course when I went for the first time, we literally got like 4 hours of daylight. So it was just kind of like
Wow.
from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. you had this sliver of light on the horizon, and then it went down. But then when I went towards the end of the summer, it was gosh, we had probably almost what 12 hours of daylight. It was just it was a lot.
Oh,
Like
it's stunning.
yeah, like it was just kind of like 10 o'clock at night. I think the sun went down, um, which I thought was amazing.
Did you guys rent a camper van? I used to work for this company as a side hustle thing, and they rented out motorhomes and camper vans in Iceland and Scandinavia.
So no,
It's a big
actually,
thing there.
I so going back to like a point that we made a long time ago when I traveled. So when I traveled the first time, I made a friend. I essentially I met this person on Grinder, and uh, we
As
just
you do.
as you do, and we became but we became really good friends, and we maintained that
Mhm.
friendship. So when I decided to go back to Iceland, um, it was just kind of like, hey, just letting you know, I'm thinking of coming to Iceland for my birthday. And they were like, well, if you're coming to Iceland, let me talk to my family, and like maybe you can stay here. And I ended up getting a free place to stay for the entire week that I was in Iceland, met their entire
Wow.
family. And then when I say their entire family, I mean like
The
I mean
whole village.
I was there, like it was like the second day that I was there. We had just had breakfast, and their family was like, "Hey, we're having brunch over here. You should come over." And they were like, "And your friend is visiting, so bring your friend." So I get to this house, which is a beautiful house, by the way. Um, and I walk in, and when I say the entire family, I mean mom, dad, siblings,
Wow.
nieces, nephews. I mean, just like everybody is there. And I was just like, wow. And they were all just so nice. Like they couldn't be nicer. Like it was just an amazing experience. And that's usually the type of travel that I love to do. Like I love to go somewhere and meet people and then maintain those relationships so that when you come back, you know you have I
Oh,
mean,
there's
essentially, like, I had my own guide of Iceland, and I
yeah.
for the
There's
entire
nothing like
week.
knowing a local. You're
Right,
never gonna know the city better than a local, you
Oh
exactly.
know?
yeah.
So for the entire week, most of my birthday stuff, like, we did stuff that wasn't incredibly touristy. Like, we did some touristy
Mhm.
stuff because there was some stuff that I had never seen. But, like, when I was with her family, her parents were like, "We have a summer cottage. Why don't you take them to the summer cottage?" And so it's
Whoa.
just kind of like, oh, okay. So, for my actual birthday, we ended the day, like my birthday ended up being like we did a 2-day road trip. Um,
Mhm.
and drove all over Iceland. End of the first day, we go to the spend the night at the summer cottage. There's a hot tub there where we sat around and we talked for hours and just enjoyed each other's company. And then the next day continued the road trip. um and it was just an amazing experience. Like I probably haven't hiked
Oh,
so
that sounds
much in my
great.
life because it was like a week of just it's just like a week of just imagine hanging out with a good friend and just talking and going on hikes and having really good food and just I mean just enjoying life, without having to work. For me, I didn't have to work. So,
That's
Oh,
great.
luxurious.
yes, it was
Yeah.
it was awesome. Absolutely awesome. And that's the sort of travel I love. I love that.
I
Yeah.
had a similar experience, except not Iceland, Serbia. I went to
Oh,
Belgrade, and I went twice with a friend of mine
You just
from
won
where I used to
recently.
work. Yeah, I also went a 3rd time to Belgrade recently, but the first 2 times I went there, was with a friend and stayed at his, family's house in Belgrade, and then stayed at their winter cottage or summer cottage, but during the winter in the north part of Serbia, and both times were in January during the Christian Orthodox New Year, which is after the Gregorian calendar New Year, and celebrated like a local, and had all the food, had all the drinking, had the fire pit, and had a wonderful time there, and just immersed myself in the culture. Obviously, had to keep it on the DL. Well, they knew I was gay, but I
right.
had to. I couldn't be out and proud and open there, but I still had an amazing time,
That
and,
sounds amazing.
those types of experiences are just amazing where
Yes.
you know a local, or even if you go to a place and
Mhm.
you don't know anyone, I think a good tip is to try one of those free walking tours.
Hmm.
Obviously, they're not free, you should tip them in cash and tip them well,
Right.
but, doing those free walking tours are a great way to ask a local different questions and get to know them better. And sometimes even on WhatsApp, they'll stay in touch and make sure that you get to the airport okay, or if you have any follow up questions or recommendations and those types of things. And I think you get a full, not a full day of walking, but almost like, a couple, several hours of walking around and learning, taking pictures and exploring, and then you can ask, "Oh, what's the best place to get XYZ?" And then take their recommendations into consideration and continue off from there. And I think that's a great way, even if you don't know anyone and you can't really quote unquote immerse yourself right
Right.
when you land, it's still another tip.
Oh, have
Right.
have you guys ever taken these trips sound amazing, it makes me wanna book a flight right now.
Yeah.
Um, but have you actually, on purpose, taken a gay trip? Meaning that it's for an event, for instance, you're gonna go to Gay Pride in Sydney this year, and you're gonna look at the gay-friendly hotels that are in the gayborhood. Have you guys done that specifically or used any of these sites, for instance, that, are either accredited or state that they have gay-friendly partners?
I haven't actually. I've never
No.
gone to
Have
like
you gone
yeah,
for
like a
Pride for other cities internationally, for instance?
not internationally. I mean, I've done it domestically. I've
Mhm.
gone to some gay events domestically, but not internationally. And when I did that, of course, I stayed with friends. Like it's a little different
Right.
experience for sure. Still fun.
I didn't go there purposefully for Gay Pride, but I went to Barcelona, and it just happened to be during Gay Pride, and,
Mhm.
oh, surprise, and I still had a great time. Met some people, got up on a float. That was when I was young and dumb and trusted people, but, yeah, got up on a float and
Right.
danced around, drank a lot,
I
partied
think
hard.
I think for Pride especially, just, a bit people get a little crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great time to be a little, wild, but some of these establishments, for instance, they have a very strict, especially in Europe, accommodation rules. If 2 people have checked in, you can't bring in a third to the hotel room, for instance.
Good.
Um,
Interesting.
so these are things you gotta watch out for, and if this is something that you kinda wanna do, just plan for it in a sense. Make sure that it is a gay-friendly hotel because gay-friendly hotels actually know, they're a little more lenient and loose on this fact when especially during Pride. Um, so yeah, I think it gives it a lot of credibility, the gay-friendly status, especially during these big events. Um, Not to say that we're all just a bunch of sluts walking around needing, rooms for a third,
Right.
but, um,
It
these are
happens.
It
realities
does.
in our community. Yeah, these are big parties, and especially young people, single people, they wanna have fun, or sometimes you just wanna, continue the party in your room to have some more alcohol and chats and, so these places, hotels can be quite, sticklers on partying in the room, so, just take that into consideration. Ask to see if they have some kind of, what do you call those when they have
Rules.
Yeah.
no, well, not just the rules, but some won't even let you back in after midnight.
Oh, like in hostels, yeah, you gotta
Yeah,
know the rules before you,
That's true.
accept the terms and conditions 'cause, yeah, they
you could
should
be expecting
list
a
it
whole
out on
different,
the
yeah.
site before you click accept, but yeah, because normally when I travel, I just use Hostel World and find the cheapest place with a single room, and I don't bring no one back into it or anything. I just find whatever cheap accommodation I can, mainly because I just use it for sleeping and I'm out. I'm
Yeah, absolutely.
exploring. I'm out in restaurants or the workplace. Whenever I go to Barcelona for work, whenever I go out, I I'm yeah. When it comes to spending lots of money on a hotel room, I think that's a waste, in my opinion. I'd rather
Yeah.
spend money on experiences and other things. So
Mhm.
Have you guys shared a bathroom with, a communal bathroom when staying in hotels?
I have not. I mean, normally when I travel, a lot of times, like if I'm traveling with other people, what we normally end up doing is we'll do like an Airbnb, so we'll rent an apartment, um,
Mhm.
which is which is great because I mean the I guess when I did like the last really big trip I did was 3 weeks, and it was Barcelona, Berlin, and Amsterdam, and it was three
oh,
Right.
of us.
fun.
Yeah, and it was three of us who traveled, so that was three apartments that we rented, and we each like for the whole trip paid $1,000 each, just
Hmm.
for our Airbnbs. which was just great because it was three very different experiences. When I travel by myself, I find that I end up either staying with friends or actually, yeah, I think for the most part, when I travel by myself, I stay with a friend. I'm usually going somewhere to see someone that I know. Um,
I like the smaller, like, three-star hotels that are more central. Um, Ibis is great for me. I love staying at those. They're usually in the center of things, and they're not that expensive, and they're clean and cute. Um, but I cannot, I'm a man of a certain age. I can't stay at, well, let me just tell you a story. In my 20s, first time in London, we stayed at this place in Piccadilly Circus. We're coming from New York, and we did not know until we arrived that we had to share the bathroom with 30 other people on the same floor.
Yikes.
ooh,
You have your yeah, it was a hostel. We got our own room. So we thought that that it's a private room, 2 beds, you also you also get the bathrooms included, but no, it wasn't.
You need to look for the
Um,
word ensuite.
nah, we didn't.
right.
We didn't look. We were
Yes.
26. We were just happy to get an apartment. I mean, a hotel room in London, because things were really expensive back then. It was like 2 for 1, basically.
Even more expensive now.
Yeah.
No, London's actually cheaper now than it
Really?
was. Back for Americans, it was literally $2 per pound. Europeans were I remember in New York, they were Spaniards too, French people. They were coming to buy Apple products like crazy because my apartment was near the 14th Street Apple Store, and there were just tons of Europeans. It would be, for pounds, for instance, there was a moment where 1 pound was $2.
Oh, yeah.
So
That was,
That's when I lived in London, yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna say
So
I.
coming from the States, it was brutal because to get like a pint of Guinness, for instance, or um, it was 6 pounds was $12.
I
Yikes.
remember going to London it was the summer of 2006, and my friend and I took a cab from Heathrow
Mm.
to our hotel, which at the time we did not know that we should have taken some sort of other cheaper transportation, but I remember that that cab ride was like $150.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Easily,
and
yeah.
you didn't even get a lap dance.
No,
No,
no, no.
Jeez.
Yeah.
No, it can be yeah, the taxis are ridiculous sometimes, you gotta watch out for the prices. I'm not a huge, Uber or Lyft or whatever, those, kinda rideshare, I believe in local taxis. The only thing is and the only positive things I like is that you know the price before you're getting into an Uber, for instance.
Right.
Um the negative side is that if you exclusively use them when it's a price surge, you're also paying triple,
yeah.
when it's high demand. So,
Yeah,
um, you know
there's they can even if you know the price beforehand, they can still, mess you up when it comes
yeah.
to
Right.
that, so
I guess just, as I always try to when I'm in a new town, new country, I always try to find some kind of, cool local or bartenders are great. They're like the local, uh
experts, yeah.
Mm.
yeah, experts. Actually, that's what happened to us in Montreal. This guy, Jeremy, was very sweet. He was a bartender at this microbrewery in, Old Montreal. And we were basically saying, yeah, we want to see more of Montreal, but how the real Montreal. And he gave us a little, kind of map. He wrote it on a piece of napkin and he said, you got to go to these parts of towns, Little Italy, Mont Royal. And we got on the metro, hopped on the metro, and it was amazing. We felt we actually had lunch. We had actually Spanish tapas in Montreal. They were really good. But thanks to him, we got to see where people really live instead of just the touristy spots. Well, guys, this concludes episode 1 of the series on LGBTQ travel with our guest speakers, James from Columbus, Ohio, and Robert from Madrid, Spain. Please stay tuned to the next episode to continue on part 2. Thank you again for listening to the Aging Queen podcast with Louis Canetti.